Good morning, you guys. It's Friday morning Pilates. It'll be mat class this morning. And so you'll grab the usual mat goodies, something for inner thighs, a block, a rolled up towel, a ball, maybe a blanket for under your head, and maybe weights for when we do arm work. We are going to start lying down this morning. It's the end of the week. Why not? So if you have a blanket for your head, put it in place. I'll get rid of the thing I was sitting on. And we'll start this morning with the block or the ball between the knees if you're using that. Lie back with knees bent and your feet comfortably close to the base of your hips. You'll have just the tiniest amount of work in the inner thighs to hold the block, but it shouldn't feel like a big struggle or a lot of effort or tension in the hips. We'll inhale through the nose. And then exhale through the mouth. And keep going with just that simple conscious breath. Inhaling through the nose, and unless you need to look at the screen, take your gaze forward to the ceiling. When the lungs are full, exhale through the mouth like you're going to whistle or blow out a candle. And we keep that going, so you have an audible quality to the breath. You'll feel the filling and the emptying out of the lungs, which causes a rise and fall in the belly and the chest. Be sure that you're relaxing the back and bottom of the pelvis, the base of your feet, the soles of your feet, the back of the rib cage and the head. Feel the curves where the spine does not contact the mat, so the back of the neck and the low spine, typically. Have 2 more exhales in place. One more. And then we add a simple movement to the exhale breath. The next time you breathe out, draw the low back down toward the mat, contracting the lower abs to move the low spine. When you inhale, allow the contraction to subside, allow the space to return under the lumbar spine. Next time you exhale, again, make your imprint, drawing the low spine toward the mat, maybe imprinting the length of it along the floor. And release imprint when you inhale. So there's a motion with each breath, but really the only effort is on the exhale. It's that slow intensification into the contraction of the low belly muscles. And then the release of that contraction as you return to neutral. Do this 3 more times, so quite a few repetitions this morning. And see if as you move the low spine, as you contract and release the low abs, you can keep a consistent tone in pelvic floor muscles, so that's a light Kegel. And a feeling of stretch throughout each phase of the movement, so that at no point are you really compressing the spine or contracting into a little ball. The last imprint you do, let's keep. So we're imprinted here, you'll just breathe on your own tempo. And every time you exhale, as you maintain imprint, include consciousness of your Kegel and a light squeeze against the blocks or even in the knees pulling together. that you'll relax a little bit with your inhale, even though you maintain imprint. So still holding imprint as you exhale, squeeze the block a little more firmly, a little bit more clearly connected in inner thighs. And then keep the low abs, keep your Kegel, soften the inner thighs somewhat as you inhale, and do that squeeze 2 more times. Kegel, exhale, squeeze the block. Isolate the squeeze to the legs so you're not squeezing with the chest or the neck. And do that final squeeze. So we should be very awake and aware in our lower body. We've got our imprint. We've got the consistent Kegel throughout both phases of the breath. We've got the squeeze through the block. Now let's build into the lower legs by exhaling and lifting the heels up. Don't move your feet closer to you. Simply exhale and work through your calves. Work through your arches to lift up onto the balls of the feet. On your inhale breath, lower the heels back down. So here too, we use a 2-breath pattern. And with your Kegel, as you hold snugly against the inner thighs, exhale and lift the heels, articulating through the feet and the ankles, and try to track cleanly through your parallel lines. Inhaling to lower down. Lift the heels twice more. Exhaling to lift up. Try not to fish around on the soles of the feet. Stay steady through all 10 toes. Inhale, lower. We'll lift the heels 1 more time. Exhale, lift the heels. Now listen, keep the heels lifted. Inhale, release to neutral. And once the spine is in neutral, exhale, lower the heels, squeezing the block lightly. We'll do some gentle shoulder mobilization. So with or without the weights, you'll extend the arms forward. We're going to try and keep that deep connection, not only into the core, but into the lower chain of the body. And I'd like you to start with a push-up type motion, actually. So you'll have your hands in front of your shoulders, holding weights or not. And on the exhale breath, we'll push the hands toward the ceiling. The easiest push-up you'll do in your life. Inhale, spread across the collarbones and the shoulder tops as you bend the elbows. Then Kegel, exhale, and extend your arms forward. We do 3 more of these. Exhaling, squeezing the block, extending the arms forward, soften your low back, and target sensation in pelvic floor. Look for length as a consequence of those connections. The next time you extend the arms forward, doing your virtual push-up, pause and rotate the palms so that they face each other. Of course, you're holding weights, so you're making fists perhaps. On your inhale here, bend your elbows and drop your weights or hands back towards your shoulders. Upper arms are vertical. When you straighten those elbows on your exhale, then the whole length of your arms will be pointing toward the ceiling. Keep your Kegel and inhale, bend your elbows. And then from your feet, begin to squeeze the block and Kegel as the lead-in to your exhale, as the support for your arm extension. 2 more. Inhale, bend. And exhale, extend. 1 more. By now, your triceps should be getting a little bit of work or fatigue or awareness, but your neck should be fine. Extend the elbows and keep the triceps engaged. Keep your core, and on your inhale, stretch the arms back. Allow the shoulders to adapt to the movement of the arms. Kegel, squeeze the block, and exhale, return with the arms. 4 more of these. Inhale, reach back. Now we're not shrugging the shoulders upward, but we are allowing the outer edges of the collarbones and the shoulder blades to tip up as the arms extend overhead. Kegel, squeeze the block, exhale, and return. A total of 5, please. Inhaling and reaching without losing pelvic floor tone. And then building, adding to that tone as you exhale and return. Be very clear that your core is internal or deep to the surface. So this shouldn't make your tailbone ache. It shouldn't tighten the front of your hips. 1 more repetition, please. And of course, your core is not in your neck, so keep that relaxed. Bring the arms all the way down by the sides. Allow the shoulder blades and collarbones to settle into their resting position. Prepare for hip rolls with an inhale. Aware of your feet, begin to squeeze the block and Kegel in anticipation of exhale. And then as you build into your exhale, move through your imprint and begin to roll the spine up a vertebra at a time. If you run out of exhale part of the way up, just pause, take a breath, and then continue subsequent movement on the next exhale breath. At the top, as you find full hip extension and full lift, allow the ribs and upper chest to open through the top of the shoulders. Inhale here, and then exhale and allow the upper ribs or the chest to soften back through the shoulders as the spine lowers. You're working sequentially on the way down as well. Finally, releasing the work of the feet and the legs as the low spine lands. The pelvis returns to neutral. Please do 2 more repetitions. Inhale, become aware of your feet. From that awareness, squeeze the block, Kegel, and exhale, roll up. Feel the work of the abs bending the spine, complemented and supported by the work of the hips and hamstrings, lifting the pelvis, extending the hips. At the top, don't try and press the chest down or squash it inward. Let it open and lift. Inhale. And then Kegel, squeezing the block. Exhale, lower down. Feel each vertebra in the upper back, landing gently. Try not to resist through the front of the shoulders or the throat. Returning fully to neutral, release briefly through the work of the glutes and the hamstrings. And last time, aware of your feet. Inhale, squeeze the block, Kegel. Exhale, roll up. Find the fluidity in the spine, the stretchiness in the muscles of your back. Inhaling at the top, you know what to do. Kegel, exhale, roll it down. Each vertebra landing gently. Now, as you lower your pelvis, again, consciously relax the glutes and the hamstrings. Remain aware of your feet. Place your hands behind the back of your head, just gently supporting behind the ears or at the base of the skull. Inhale, nod the chin toward the chest. And with that same fluidity in your spine, you'll squeeze the block and Kegel. And as the exhale builds upward, you bend forward. The low spine remains neutral, so your lumbar curve is present. And the pelvis retains its weight into the ground. Exhale and lower. All the spinal flexion, or the big spinal flexion, occurs on exhale. Inhale, nod your chin. From the feet, squeeze the block, Kegel. Exhale upward from the base of pelvic floor. And bend forward from the top of your waist, the bottom of your ribs. Inhale and hold, relaxing the glutes and the hamstrings. Exhale and lower. 3 more, please. Nodding with your inhale, soften the neck and then engage lightly through the throat. And then exhale, wait until the breath rises through the bottom of the ribs. As the diaphragm there relaxes, bending will be easier. Exhale and lower. Maybe last one. Nod the chin to the chest. Upper spine lengthening and releasing into length. As you exhale, inhale at the top, exhale, and lower. So the timing of the exhale and the movement really matters. We're going to roll over onto our side, ready for spinal rotation. You can keep a block or whatever you like between your knees, and you can use weights in your hands if you like a little extra traction. So back to what I was saying, the timing of that exhale really, really matters in terms of ease of movement and support for that movement. In your side lying neutral, squeeze the block or your knees, kegel and exhale, and feel how the breath can rise from the base of the pelvis upward through the crown. On your next inhale, turn your head upward and lift your arm. Begin your exhale, and again, as the exhale passes through the midsection, you begin to open into twist. Hold, breathe in, kegel, squeeze the block, exhale, and return. So you finish the movement and the exhale at about the same time. Inhale, turn the head, the arm, kegel, exhale, opening only after feeling the support. Breathe in, kegel, exhale, and return. Do just one more from this side. So we're doing 3 from each direction this morning. And once you've returned from the last one, roll to your second side. Side lying in neutral, maybe something between the knees, maybe a weight in the hands. Before moving, have an exhale in place and feel the sensation of the breath rising through connection into length. On your inhale, turn the head and lift the arm. And that same sequencing of exhale into movement as you now open across the twist. Hold that open twist, hold your kegel and inner thighs as you inhale. And then exhale and return. We do 3 total. Please continue on your own breath tempo. Unshrugging and softening the shoulder tops as you breathe in. Returning on exhale breath. And that last one. Very good. So put the weights down, come to hands and knees. We'll do a cat stretch. Coming into your hands and knees position, you can tuck the toes or not. So if that's a nice stretch for under the bottom of your feet, feel free to keep the toes tucked. It's a nice stabilizer as well. We'll start in a neutral position here. And before movement, we again kegel and exhale. Again, sensitive to the breath and the support as they're generated upward through the spine. Inhale to prepare. Kegel and exhale, and after the breath starts, begin to flex the lower spine, dropping the tail down, lengthening the low back, lifting the middle of the back, curving the ribs, dropping the head. And then when you've completely flexed the spine, pause and inhale. Begin your Kegel, your exhale, and lengthen into neutral, starting with the pelvis. Feeling that stepwise sequencing up through the crown. And then inhale, open the shoulder tops, lift the chest, and extend the upper back. Release, and do 2 more. Exhaling to round the spine. And shrugging, even in your exhale as you hold, and then inhale, lengthening the spine. From neutral, extending, and then releasing in a final repetition. Exhaling to flex. Hold, inhale. Exhaling to release to neutral. On this inhale breath, take your upper back extension. Release. And lie flat to the ground, resting your head on your hands, on your belly. Legs extended out behind you. We're going to work on the extension of the legs first before we continue with extension of the spine. So we want to make sure the bottom of the hips are forward. That's your pubic bones forward into the mat. We have the shoulders off the neck, even though the arms are lifted, and the inner thighs are drawing toward each other, back of the knees stretched, toes pointed. Prepare with an inhale breath. Kegel, exhale, begin to activate the legs through stretch, and then finally into extension, using your glutes and your hamstrings to pick up the weight of your legs, both of them together, stretching away and up, and then hold, inhale. And then Kegel, exhale, and stretch the legs away and down. 2 more repetitions. So make the most of each one. We Kegel, exhale into stretch and lift the legs. Try not to bend the knees or let the feet go soft. Inhale at the top, opening and softening the neck and shoulders, and then Kegel, exhale, and lower. 1 more, please. And maybe this time as you lift the legs, you can feel their stretch coming out of the sides of the waist. So the sides of the waist and the hips are long, they're firm, they're stretching as the legs extend upward. And then exhale and lower. Keep your hands under your forehead, and we'll do breaststroke prep number 3. So kind of backwards sequencing today. The legs stay on the ground. They're still stretched and long and connected through the sides of the waist. And on your next exhale, you begin to reach through the crown. Feel the shoulder blades gliding down and connecting at their bottom points as the chest rises, just an inch or 2 from the mat. Hold and inhale. Exhale and lower. 2 more of these guys. Preparing. As you feel that exhale begin and then build upward through the crown, then you begin your spinal extension. The extension chases the support. You'll hold that at the top and breathe in. And exhale, lower. 1 last repetition of this version. Exhale and extend. Hold at the top and lengthen your pubic bones downward as you stretch your tail toward the heels. And then exhale and lower. Good, you guys. Arms come down by the sides. And we'll do just the plain old vanilla version of Dart or breaststroke prep number 2, moving in backwards order. Legs remain the same. They're engaged. They're secure on the ground. And on your inhale breath, you'll bring the arms from their slump into alignment along your sides, stretching through the elbows and wrists, hands facing your thighs. And then exhale, same action of the shoulder blades as you bring the chest upward into a hover. Inhale here, Kegel, exhale and lower. 2 more. Inhale, lifting and placing the arms, stretching through the elbows, engage your triceps. Release through the base of the neck and exhale. Lift the upper body into extension with the strength of your middle back and the support of your core and legs. Inhale. Exhale and lower. Last one. Inhale, arranges the shoulders. Exhale, connects it through as you come up into your extension. Have a breath. And then release downward. Put your hands under your shoulders and push back into a shell stretch. Rounding the spine like your cat curve, whether you're sitting on your heels or sitting on your hips. Little movements in the head and the shoulders. And then on an exhale breath, roll up, slowly stacking the spine. We'll turn around and lie on the back again, knees bent. And without the block, but with the option of using it, we're going to work into some tabletop exercises. So, in neutral, a breath in, aware of your feet, feeling the body holistically, Kegel, exhale, and feel connected not just up the length of your spine, but down into ground through your feet. Prepare for imprint with an inhale. And then as you exhale, make that imprint, contracting into the lower abs, flexing the low spine, and you felt that flexion in hip rolls and cat stretch. When you've got the flexion that's available to your body, make sure you're not pushing with the legs or the hips. Relax the shoulders back, and on an exhale, come up onto the balls of the feet. So again, we're lifting the heels. So we do have the lower legs engaged to some degree. We're going to use that to help lift a leg to tabletop. As you exhale, push through the point of your toes and lift the weight of your shin as you bring the thigh bone up to vertical. Have a breath. Kegel, exhale, push through the toes. Lift the weight of the shin and bring the other leg up. Now here, if you like, you can place a block as a spacer or as a prop for your inner thighs. If you don't like that, you can just have the knees and the feet together. So because the feet aren't on the ground, but we still want to feel grounded through the kinetic chain of our body, let's inhale, flex the toes back, and exhale, feel as though you're engaging the feet over some surface, maybe grabbing onto that imaginary surface with your toes. Place the hands again behind the head. We'll do a couple of ab preps here, keeping imprint throughout and striving to keep the engagement through the lower body. Inhale, nod the chin. Kegel, exhale, remember your sequencing. Rising only as the exhale breath clearly connects upward in a stream. Inhale at the top, Kegel, exhale and lower. We'll do just 3 more of these guys, nodding with the inhale. Aware of the activity in your feet and inner thighs, Kegel, exhale. Take a breath at the top. Exhale and lower. And please do 2 more. Now the last time you bend forward, stay there. From hands behind the head, reach the arms and grab the back of the legs. Use your biceps a little bit and bend a little bit more through sort of the mid-rib area, like you're going to try and bring your nose toward your knees. Inhale here, exhale, lower the tailbone down and stretch the arms by your sides and begin a set of the 100. Count your own 10 sets of 10 breaths. Legs straight or bent, that's your option this morning. Head up or down, that's actually another option. Keep the grounding of the feet and the legs. Know how the work of the legs and the work of the core and low abs can supplement each other. You create a real stable base for that forward bend of the spine. And for the grounding of the shoulders. When you've done your last set, no rushing, you inhale smoothly and bend your knees. And then exhale, lower your head if it's lifted. Your choice here, you can hug the knees in and just kind of roll around, or you can put the feet down. When you get to the point of putting the feet down, keep your imprint while you do that. Use a breath out to place one foot on the ground. And same for the second leg. When both feet are down, have a little space between them. So rather than all the way together, a little bit of space between. And let the knees drop off to one side. Don't go so far that it feels crummy in your back or in your knees. Just a little bit of internal, external rotation. And then go to the other side. As the knees drop off to the other side, allow a little bit of a twist in the waist, a little bit of a roll across the back of the hips. And do one more to each side, please. When you finish both sides, we'll come to sitting, and as we almost always do at this point in the workout, do a little bit of half roll back. From that seated position, you can have your knees bent or straight this morning. And of course, you can sit up on a little bit of something if height is helpful in freeing up the movement of the hips. Just the classic version. You'll need to adjust the spacing of your feet to your hips until you feel comfortable here, aware that the pelvis is going to roll through the thighs just like it does in hip rolls. Roll through the shoulders a couple of times and then extend the arms forward. Move the shoulders back and forth until you find the spot in the middle where it's neutral with regard to your head, your ribs, and your hips. Have an exhale here. Feel the breath moving directly upward, not tilting, not bending. Then preparing for the movement, inhale. From your feet, build your exhale into inner thigh and pelvic floor awareness, and then roll back as that breath leaves a trail of support behind it. Inhale at the furthest point in your roll back, and then Kegel, exhale, and return. Breath in, Kegel, exhale, and roll back. Feel the rolling of the pelvis and the curving of the spine. And try not to let the upper back fall behind the shoulders, or conversely, the shoulders pinch toward the front. Inhale, Kegel, and exhale. Grow, lengthen into your return. Do just one more, please. As I said, this is kind of the warm-up for the larger exercise, so we don't want to spend all of our energy here. We want to be able to explore further. When you've returned from this last repetition, stretch your legs. Lower your arms. Yeah. And we'll go immediately into the roll down and the roll up. So some options for you. You can always use a block between the feet or the knees. And you can always hold weights in the hands if you want a little extra challenge for the shoulders at certain points. A secret about the weights though, the weights actually will help you on the way up if you use the shoulders correctly. So if you're curious about what I mean, you can try and see. We start here again in our upright position. You will have removed the cushion underneath your hips if you're using it, because we want to be able to go all the way down. And we again stretch the arms forward, centering them. Inhaling. We'll go directly on our first exhale into the motion, squeezing the block, activating inner thighs and pelvic floor. And as the breath rises through the spine, you roll back. Nice and elastic through the muscles of the back, liquid through the joints of the spine. As the head lands, you can reach the arms back, inhaling. And then nod the head, bringing the arms forward, exhale. Inhale, up, and begin again. Let's do 3 more, please. Now, even if your legs aren't perfectly straight, which is fine, sometimes you need to do that for hip mobility or low spine mobility, make sure that you have awareness to the inner thigh line rather than hardness in the front or outer margins of the hips. Similarly, pay attention to the shoulders. So as we roll the spine up and down, we're actually rolling the torso through the shoulders. We want to make sure the timing of that motion is coordinated in a way that makes the movement possible and comfortable, not necessarily easy. When you've done your 4th one, 4 total, we'll stay seated and just do a twist from that position. And I'll wait for you. So I'm watching the timing of your repetitions. I'll know you're done because you'll put your arms down, but I won't begin before then. Good, you guys. So because we'll be sitting, you can again put a little cushion or height under your hips if that's helpful. I use that phrase a lot, if it's helpful. So that applies to any of your props. If they're helpful, they're worth using. If they're not helpful, ditch them. Life's hard enough. All right, so legs out in front of you, not necessarily all the way straight, and maybe with a block between your feet. Feel your sitting bones clearly, and feel that your hips aren't just bumping up against some boundary that's going to cause you stress or pitch you forward or back. You have 2 options for the arms today. One is hands together at the chest. You want to keep the shoulders centered. If you've got that and can extend the arms out to the side, then work there. Add that challenge. We'll be doing our 3-part exhales. So prepare with your inhale, moving it down through the base of the pelvis. And then on your exhale, begin your twist. Start in the direction of your choice. Inhale back through center. Each of those 3 divisions of your exhales should lift the breath a little further through the levels of your spine and should also enable a longer, deeper connection through engagement with your core. Exhale, twist a little, feel the breath rising through the navel. Exhale, twist more, feel it rising to support the base of the heart. Exhale, twist that final time as the breath lifts through the crown. Inhale, return through center, and so on. We'll do 2 more complete rounds across the sides. If you find that the arms extended and palms forward is putting tension into your shoulders, turn the palms upward and soften the elbows like you're holding something a little bit weighty in the hands, and that weight is dropping down from the neck. And when you finish your last round, again, I'll know because you'll put your arms down. Hallelujah. Move your shoulders around a little bit. Good. All right. So let's lie down on our backs, and we're going to do breaststroke prep number 1. So you'll be prone and you'll have this position with the arms against the floor.
On our fronts.
On our fronts. Did I say on our backs? Holy cow.
Yeah.
It's good I have quality control in my audience. Please lie on your belly like this. Shoot, it is Friday. All right. We've got that same long stretch through the hips and the legs up into the sides of the waist, which is really bounded internally by your transverses. So feeling that is a good thing. We'll inhale in preparation, and then keeping the waist, lower waist, the hips and the legs secure, we'll exhale and reach through the crown and extend once more through the upper back, coming through and past the hover up into the bottom of the ribs. Inhale here and exhale to lower. Repeating, preparing with that inhale that clears the upper body, that drops all the way into the hips. And then from the exhale, activating the legs, finding your Kegel, and breathing support from your core into your spine. That enables a good extension. Inhale here and exhale lower. Do 2 more, please. Continuing to stretch those legs both on the way down as well as on the way up. When you've lowered from the last one, instead of sliding back into shell stretch, now for real, roll over and lie on your back. I'm gonna have to start saying Simon Says or something like that. All right, so block perhaps between your knees. We're gonna do shoulder bridge. Now, in shoulder bridge, you probably don't wanna have a lot of mat under your head, for one. When we come up, I want you to find that same freedom to open and lift the chest through the shoulders, but as you rise to the top, I don't want you to extend the bottom of the ribs forward of the line of the belly, right? So we're gonna watch, we're not gonna necessarily come up into a yoga bridge, but we're gonna keep neutral all the way up and come into a Pilates bridge. So you get your feet in a position where you can use them efficiently, pretty close to the hips. You're in a neutral spine. You'll keep neutral throughout this exercise set. And on your exhale, as you squeeze the block and engage your core, you'll press down from the glutes and the hamstrings into the soles of the feet against the floor. That action should lift your hips. Come up to your neutral extension. Feel an opening in the chest similar to your prone extension, but keeping the integrity of the ribs. Inhale, Kegel, squeeze the block, and lower. 2 more, please. Prepare at the bottom with a breath in. Squeeze the block, Kegel, exhale, press up. Gliding smoothly through the axis of the hips. Keep your inner thighs all the way up and find your medial hamstrings. Breathe in, plug it into your big toes, center of your heels, and exhale, lower down. We have one more to do. From that position, fully neutral, fully resting into ground at the bottom. Kegel, exhale, engage the lower body, and lift the hips. Inhale, Kegel, exhale, and rest down. Put the block off to the side. Hug the knees in toward the chest, please. So here we're finally doing kind of like our shell stretch, only it's upside down. Pardon me. We'll move from here into one leg circle. So you can start with the leg of your choice. Put one foot, the leg you're not going to be circling, put the foot on the ground. And then other leg, the one you will be circling, goes into a tabletop position. Flex and point that foot, engaging it. Now from here, you have your choice of positions. You can stay here, you can stretch the bottom leg, you can stretch the top leg, you can stretch them both. With the bottom leg stretch, be sure to flex that foot and have a different kind of activation of the leg. And we start in the inward direction. So neutral spine. On the inhale breath, the circling leg goes across the midline. And on the exhale breath, it goes down, sweeps up in a big arc across the bottom, over the top, and finally returns to where you started from. 4 total. Inhale across, exhale. And continuing twice more. When you've done your last one, continue to work with the same leg, but reverse the direction of your circle. Inhale, take the leg out to the side, circle it down, making that big arc in space, up and back to where you started from. 4 total, please, and inhale to initiate the opening of the leg, and exhale to accomplish the circling. And when you've done your final one with this leg, go ahead and hug that knee in. In fact, hug both knees in. And resume that kind of shell-like position, that child's pose-like position on your back. And we'll go into the other side in the same way. So new foot goes down initially. New leg finds tabletop. And then you decide which of the legs you want to stretch. And make sure that you're in a neutral spine when you set that beginning position. Starting in the inward direction, inhale, leg crosses the midline, and exhale, circles down, out to the side, up over the top 4 times. Now we're controlling a lot, the pelvis, with the muscles in the lower belly. Make sure you're not paralyzing your shoulders, your neck, and your chest in an effort to hold your hips still. After 4, you're free to reverse, inhaling out to the side and circling on the exhale. Experience the exhale as kind of like a sigh in the upper body, upper back, shoulders, and chest, as you also get that deep connection in your core. Now on the final one or after the final one, again, hug your knees in briefly. And then we'll put both feet down one at a time. Exhale, one foot lowers and then the other. So what I'd like to do next is sort of our grand finale for today is shoulder bridge, full shoulder bridge with the lifting and lowering of that single leg. So if you haven't seen it before, just quick and dirty, or even if you have, as a reminder, we'll return to our shoulder bridge. We'll press the hips upward into that position. You can support with your hands on your hips if you like. And we lift one leg up. We only move that leg down and up, exhaling to flex and lower that leg in space, inhaling to point and lift as we hold stability through the rest of the body. If that is something that you cannot accomplish or you cannot accomplish safely, do the same motion with the leg, but with the hips on the floor. Yeah. So hips on the floor, exhale down, inhale up. If you're looking for an intermediate version between the easy and the challenging, consider doing this in an imprint and from a tabletop position. So we've got one leg in tabletop, we've got the other leg extended, exhale and inhale. Right, so you've got your level 1, 2, and 3. If you're going to be working in neutral, please stay there. If you're going to be working in a tabletop, go ahead and exhale, make your imprint. If you're working from your bridge, exhale, press the hips up. And if you'll be working from tabletop, exhale, lift a leg at a time into that position. One leg up if you're working in that basic level. Whichever leg is up, please extend it upward in space with a pointed foot. And then as you exhale, flex that foot and lower the leg down. Inhale, point that foot and lift the leg up. We have 4 repetitions here. Stretching down on the exhale, straight through the knee, pointing, lifting on the inhale for a total of 4 repetitions. When you've done your 4th lift, bend the knee to tabletop and put your foot on the ground. If you're working from tabletop, you can hug your knees in briefly. Preparing for the other side. With your individual version, approach it the same way. Exhale, make your bridge or extend your single leg. And then on your next exhale breath, flex the foot and lower. Point and lift on your inhale. For total, when you've done your 4th one, bend the extended leg, put it down on the ground. When both feet are on the ground, and you'll take the time to do that if you're going from tabletop as well. Again, drop the knees off to one side and then off to the other. Roll off onto one side and decide if for our final exercise, which is going to be push-ups, if you would like to work from a standing position or if you want to work from the floor. We'll do our Pilates version of push-ups, the sort of beginner set rather than the full one, and I can show that at a later point in time. If you're standing, you'll want to be just out of reach of whatever surface you'll be putting your hands on, and you'll lean forward into it. You're going to make sure that you've got your neutral posture, neutral hip extension as you go into that. If you're on hands and knees on the ground, in a moment, I'll have you step one foot back and then the other. So here's that moment for both of us. If you're standing, you're going to inhale, bend the knees a little bit, and then exhale, straighten the legs. If you're on the ground, you will have stepped back one foot and then the other, lifting the heels up and then lowering them down if you're standing, or sliding them forward and then back if you're in your plank. Finally, ready for our push-ups, we'll inhale, bend the elbows a little bit. Inhale another time, bending more. Inhale a final time, go to the depth that you can go. And then exhale, push away. Inhale, bend the elbows a little bit, opening the chest. A little bit more, unshrugging the shoulders. A little bit more, draw the breath down into the hips. And then from the legs, exhale, push the arms long. We'll do a total of 6. We're about halfway through at this point. Keep your breath consistent. That's it, you guys. And when you've done your last one, if you're on the ground, just sit back into shell stretch. If you're standing, just kind of pull your hips back. And then the standing folks can do a little bit of cat-cow for the spine. Folks on the ground can shift a little. From wherever you are, standing or on the floor, begin to stack your spine up, breathing in and breathing out. And with the spine upright and the eyes open, focus soft as you gaze forward, breathe in. Gently breathe out. 2 more times. And then inhale, exhale in a sigh. See the space around you. You guys, happy Friday, good class. And I'll see you next week.
Have a good weekend.
Thank you, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.